Alright, hello. Let us continue. So we're on the journey of implementing state machines for our monsters to determine their behavior, which replaces the old system we had, which was more, I guess you could say, managed from an outside system that managed the monsters, and the monsters could sometimes have like overrides to a certain extent, but it was all very specialized. It was all very arcane, and nothing really looked like anything else. And so, what we did was replace that, or make a new system that was very simple, and it also enables us to see the entire sort of inner workings of a monster from its state machine. So I think it's a better system overall. At least it fits this us better here. And so we've implemented basic monsters, but also more complicated monsters. A monster that has attack, it has jump and walking and idle and several different types of attack and so forth. So it is quite more complex than just moving back and forth. And so it was a little bit of a teething problem, but at the end it feels like it's very much an improvement, I would say. So I'm really happy with that, and let's see. Yeah, so that's really good. Now, what we also did was revamp the attack system, or we made an attack system. Before, it was more baked into the player system and monster system, but now the attack system has kind of moved out into its own system, and there's some teething problems there as well. So we have a bug right now where the attacks, well, the player attack is basically like infinite hit bug, where every frame it's doing damage. So I'm trying to fix that. That was working before, but now somehow it has been fixed, or it has been broken. So that is something that I need to look into, and that's what I'm trying to do right now, actually. So that is where we, I think, left off. I did some more refactoring. So if we go to the state machine of Klet now, it's only about 300 lines here. So it's just below 300 lines, which it's a lot, but it's also, quite complex, as I said, behavior. And so but the nice thing is that everything is contained in here now. So instead of having one system that has some weird way of activating each thing, now we have one system that is more that we can understand by just looking at this place here. So we can understand the whole behavior of this monster by looking at this place, which is really, really good. It's really nice, because then it's like, okay, what if you want to change something? Then you don't have to search for weird places to look to. What if we want to do this? What if we want to add that? So you can just go here, and here's everything, and you can just find wherever you need to modify. So that is really, really good. And the way we do it is basically having sort of a lot of helper functions, where we can sort of define the behavior very tersely, if that's a term. It's a very terse way of doing it. So we have all these helper functions. Now you could argue that we're hiding a bunch of functionality and we should have everything in here. Like, splayed out, but I don't think so. I think it's nicer if we have this because it's a lot easier to look at. It's a lot easier to, if you know what kind of operations there are, and you get used to that, you can also way faster implement new things. So I don't know. I don't know who would argue like that for this, but yeah, yeah, I think it's really nice. So that is kind of what we're using. We're using a lot of helper functions to help us sort of more easily build up this state. What I'm gonna show as well is the attack state thing. So here, for example, we have the initiation of an attack, or we check if we should attack. And so we're checking, okay, are we attacking already? Then we don't need to do anything. And then we're checking here if we're gonna trigger a melee attack or a ranged attack, depending on the distance to the player and cooldowns and stuff like that. And if we should do a melee attack, then we randomly choose between high and low attack. And this, I found that this set state was a really nice addition that we did. So this is, I think it's just insanely flexible and good. Basically, it sets this, basically the state is just a function that is the update function that you call. So it's a pointer to a function. So whenever you want to change state, you just set that pointer to another function. Now, it is a little bit more nuanced than that. So if we use this set state function, we can also have the concepts of post and pre functions as well. So we have transitions, because what if you want to set the animation to something based on a transition from some state to another state, or you want to play a sound, or you want to do some other side effects that only should happen at the transition point. When then you can use this set state, and then you can have a type here that defines pre and post functions, and those are being handled here. So that is really a really nice system. I really like this system here because it's so flexible. You can basically do whatever you want with this, and it works really, really well here. So so yeah, it fits perfectly here. So and yeah, and if you just have a struct like this, and if you just have a struct like this with the post or pre and post are optional, but the update is mandatory. So the update function it should have. However, you can also pass a function if you want. So you can pass a function. Where we do that somewhere. I don't know. But anyway, you can just pass a function, and that will automatically be the update function instead. So, but also if you need to have some configuration for the state, you can also make this struct into a function instead, and then pass in a comp time known configuration, and it will be able to use that in the type as well. So here's like melee attack for high, melee attack for low. Instead of having two different functions that does the same thing, basically, we can now just pass in some configuration which will work that out. So here's how that looks. We have a function, we pass in attack type, and we return a type which is this struct with pre, update, and post functions. So pre is like before the state should transition, we want to execute these things. So basically just side effects that is going to happen. And then we have the update function, which is what is happening during this state. And then we have a post function, which is what is going to be happening after this state is after you or when you transition from this state to another state. We call the post function here also. So that is a really nice pattern, and it works really well. Let's see. So actually, a lot of things in here we could sort of move out. Like this melee attack type. This is like a way to sort of describe the melee attacks, or configure those. So we have like offset side. We have like the hitbox based on the body of the one that actually attacks. We have like hertz, delay, attack duration. So a bunch of configuration things that will describe the attack, and then we also can provide this easy to use attack options which will be passed into the create attack function. So we're kind of using this as a convenient way to just generate our options for us depending on the type of attack which we have here, which is this attack type here. So I really like this pattern as well, so I think I'm gonna basically copy this pattern here. Also, this doesn't have to be in the state machine itself. We can move this out because it's not really part of the state machine. We can just move it out here, for example. So then we have this out there. However, it does interface with the state machine, but it doesn't have to be like part of this. So this becomes a lot less. Now we cut off like I don't know, 100 lines of code there almost. Okay, and here's the walk state. We have like pre and update for that as well. So here's a simple example of a walk state where we have like the pre function. Basically we have pre-movement, which is like default stuff happening when a movement thing starts. And so basically if we're hunting the player, we want to face the player and starts to go against the player. And here's like yeah, how long the state will last. And then we also have if we're not hunting the player, then we're moving in a random direction. And we're also setting this, actually we can move this out, don't have to have that in both of them. There we go. Yeah, I just took the time to do a little bit of, you know, coding, refactoring, optimization like that. And you end up with this nice sort of suite of functions that we can reuse and yeah, and just have a good time. In contrast to the old way where we had this very big monster of a system that just was a pain in the ass to work with, especially just creating a new monster. Like right now, like before, I think there was like somewhere around like 10 to 15 steps you had to do, and it took a lot of time to just have some sort of template of a monster. And you also had to have graphics, you had to have animations, you had to define all these things. Now I've stripped that away, so in the editor you just have to create an entity type. It doesn't have to have graphics, it doesn't have to anything, it just has to have a name. And then you can also define the size if you want of the monster, and then you can use it straight away. And then in the game code there's basically 3 steps basically that you have to do right now. You have to add the monster to the scene entity types, and you have to create, like, copy one of the monsters that exists, and then also link up the create entity function in the spawn system. But that's it, and then you're done, and then you can start, you know, implementing the monster how you want, compared to before where you have to sort of jump through all these 10-15 places where we had some sort of switch that checks, okay, is this state eligible for this monster type? Okay, we add it here, we add it there. So it's like, yeah, this is like way better because not only because of that, but also because of before all the monsters basically sort of sharing logic which they're doing now as well through the helper functions, but it's the other way around. So before, the system was sort of governing the monsters and doing shared logic and then checking for special cases. Now it's the flipped, so that the monsters have all of the, how do you say it, they control everything. So the monsters state up machine is controlling everything. So that is where the whole governing is placed now. So the monster itself. So we just need to copy the monster, and then voila, we have our new state machine that will work with that monster. So yeah, really, really good upgrade there. All right. So Yeah, but I'll dig into this attack problem. I just have to BRB for a second here. 2-3 minutes, BRB. All right. Alright, sorry, I was just looking at something. Okay. let's go. Alright, so anyway, back to this. So yeah, there is a bug with attack where the player attack basically has infinite. It's hitting an infinite amount of times. Well, one time each frame, I would guess, and even though it shouldn't, so. So yeah, so this is where I'm kind of don't really know what's going on, because so the way it's set up here is that once the attack, so we're creating one attack per attack. However, the attack is up for some duration of time. So it's basically we're creating a new entity. We attach the attack component to it. That's all the information needed for the attack. Then we're looping through all attacks and we're checking, okay, what is a valid target, where's the source, and stuff like that. And one of the things is that once the attack has hurt one entity, we check then, or we also add this entity to this list, entity already hurt, and then we also check here. In here we're checking a whole bunch of stuff, like if we're enabled or stuff like this. So here we're checking if we have this value in the entities, and so that means that the entity has already been hurt by this attack, and then we return false. We also check if we have no more capacity in the list, and in that case we cannot deal more damage either. So technically the attack should be sort of consumed for this entity, you could say. The entity should not take damage anymore, but it still doesn't work here. So this is a bug. So I think what we want to do, first of all, I want to double check how many attacks we are creating here. I have these logs here that this is called for each attack. Here's the update function for the attack system. So we're getting all the attacks, we're looping through them, and we're calling update attack on them. But if we have like, let's say there's a bug where we create a billion attacks per attack, let's say, then that makes sense. Like if we create one attack per frame or something like that. So what I want to do is I want to check maybe just the length of how many we have. Let's say if the length is more than 0, we do a log. And yeah, let's just see if we get something there. There we go, that's one attack. Alright, so there's only one attack. Okay, great. That works as intended then. Next up is, well, over here. So for some reason this returns, so I'm gonna say can damage target is equal to this. If we cannot damage the target, we should continue, but I also want to log some stuff. Cannot damage targets. Damaging targets. I'll print out the target as well. Cannot damage target. Okay. Because then, yeah, it should... The monster sort of instantly dies, basically. It has 6 health. Yeah, you can see... Well... It took a lot of hits there. So, cannot damage target. Yeah, we didn't get into cannot damage target. Damaging targets. 23. So... Yeah, it happens like multiple times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So 1 damage away from killing it. Attack enabled. Attack is not enabled. Or maybe that was for, maybe that's the monster or something, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, so it's like going in there. So what I want to now check is what the parameters are here. So if we go in here, let's copy all, oops, copy all this. Is enabled. Contains. Has capacity. Okay. Well, I guess we didn't get in here, so I would, if we're over here, I wanna log these things out. Is enabled. Contains. Has capacity. Instant death. Okay, let's check the logs. Damaging target. So contains false, has capacity true. Okay, so basically the contains is failing here. Yeah. Okay. Because we're appending here. We're setting the item there. We are increasing our length. This is mutable. Next time, unless we're like clearing this thing somewhere, but I don't think so. Or if there's anything wrong with the copying of it, because it's just it's an array. Again, the copy, yeah, the array, okay. Maybe this doesn't work because it's like a bounded array, and when you copy it, or it's like an array here, and when you copy it, this doesn't copy with, because I have so much issue with this. Maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. I feel like I need to finally understand how this works. Let's will Zig automatically copy arrays by value. Will Zig copy arrays by value? I'm just gonna say it's not doing it. It's not, you know, sometimes I feel like it has worked, sometimes it doesn't. So, okay, let me maybe, oops. Sorry, I need to mute the thing there. Let's see. All right, so maybe yeah, maybe we don't just we don't use this. I mean, it doesn't really work. At least not for this part. Well, actually, well, no, it should work. It's just at one place. The attack. So the thing is that this is a pointer, right? So the location that this where this is happening should work. It should populate it at that location. Okay, I'm just gonna do entities already hurt. And let's just do this. See if that works. $64 0 0. Okay. Well, now we're getting somewhere, I guess. Why is it 64 though? Okay, so so it does work, but it's not working properly. 64 and then 0. Yeah, the thing is, you might wonder what this target index is. It's basically target comes from it's the entity in the ECS system, and they recently changed something that you previously had a function called get entity ID or something like that, and you could enter that and you could get some sort of unique ID for this thing. But when I looked at the source code, what that did was basically the entity is composed of two different values. So it's an index and then a version. And what this function did was just extract the index out and use that. And so that's what I'm trying to do here. Is I'm trying to use the index because I want this value to be comparable to other, like, so you can check if this list contains this value or not. So so that's why I'm using index here, and it felt like it should work. I'm not sure. Like, it says the target index is 23 at this point, and we append it afterwards. It says like 64. I mean, maybe it's incorrectly formatted here. I don't really know. That also the type is a bit different. It's like U20, I think. So the type of target index is also not really, you know. Okay, maybe we'll do this. Maybe let's do. I mean, there might be something wrong with this slice function as well, but it did seem to add the or append. I mean, I guess. Huh. Yeah, actually, slice const. This could be weird because we're copying. Yeah. Okay. Let's do this. Let's just not have this. There we go. We need this to always be a pointer. Well, except in this case, this is like. But as yeah. Okay. As long as we want to access the buffer, we need this to be a pointer. This needs to be a pointer, of course. All right. Yeah, I think that was the issue. I very much hope that that is the issue, and that is something that you need to be aware of when working with this. Oh yeah, that doesn't exist. There we go. There we go. Okay, I think that was the issue. It's like copying a struct that has an array, doesn't actually copy the array values inside. It just makes space for the array. Now I do notice that it doesn't take knockback the first time. Maybe it's because it's spawning in. So we're missing that. So yeah, this is now the strength of... Let's clean up here a little bit. Hang on. All right. Now this is the strength of this new system here. Is that okay? We can see an issue with the knockback. So let's go to the state machine. Now this is the only place you need to look to understand what is going on. The initial state is here, where we are waiting to spawn, and the waiting to spawn is when you get close enough to activate the spawn. Then it activates the spawn, and so we get into the spawning state. And when the spawning state is done, where we also have like default damage behavior here, so that we can take damage during spawn, and if we're hit, we trigger the spawn immediately. Or if we... So there's two ways of triggering the spawn being completed. Is if the timer is up, so the spawn animation is done basically, and if we're being damaged. However, at this point we're being damaged, but we don't have any knockback. So we basically need a common function for, or another function for spawning, which we will apply knockback. But that's gotta be such a common thing that I'm contemplating on just implementing that in default behavior here, where we have like an if we want to have knockback, we apply this here. So I don't know. The knockback thing is probably something that's gonna change as well, depending on the type of attack and stuff. But I don't know. Let's just add some options here. And then we have apply knockback on hit is a bool, and we just set this to true by default. And yeah, we can, we'll do this if options, whoops, apply knockback on hit. We will apply the knockback, but this now only needs the context here. Okay. So now Yeah, this needs some, this needs like options. However, where do we get the options from? We could get it from here. Default damaged behavior options. All right. So now we can modify it if we want. Yeah. But the default is that we actually do get knockback, which means that we don't really need to apply knockback ourselves anymore, so we can do this now. But we still wanna run the function. Okay. Yeah, and then we have to update other places as well. Or do we actually? Well, yeah, we do need to change this here. And this one didn't have anything. Yeah, okay. There we go. That's it. All right, let's see if it compiles. Nope. Expected 2 arguments. Oh yeah. So let's do that. Probably same over here. There we go. I mean, you could even store those options so that they are the same, but whatever. Let's also remove this hitbox drawing. Okay, let's see now. So now we should be able to, now we should do like a knockback when they spawn as well. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Turn on the sound. Alright. Cool. Alright, so yeah, we are done with basically we're done with this monster now. Wait, this is the wrong. So yeah, now we have this, we have transferred the functionality from the old system to this state machine style instead. So yeah, very nice. And yeah, now this is, well, it's still, you know, a couple of lines long here, maybe 250, 220 lines. But yeah, it does contain a lot of different behavior. So yeah, really cool. Let's see. Yeah, the spawn rock, like this feels like we could improve, probably. But this is like the only place where we don't have like just a bunch of helper functions doing stuff. But I guess we could just move this out into its own function outside, and we'll say that, oh, we solved the problem. But yeah, anyway. What now? So now we can start to clean up a little bit here. So this we can just remove. This is the used by the old system here. We move this stuff. Basically everything in here we can just remove because it's not gonna be, it's not used anymore. And so yeah, you could argue there that we actually got rid of a lot of lines of code there, which is always a really nice thing. Now this whole file is just 366, so most of it is the state machine, which makes sense. This hitbox Is it even used? I don't know. I don't think so. Oh, this is the attack. Where is this coming from? Oh yeah, it is used here. Okay. Can aggro is not actually used. We can remove that. Max health is used. But I do want to move these things maybe up here. So we have a lot of like configuration basically up here. And here's like state. And we don't need to worry about that. I mean, we don't really need an init function. We're not even using it, so. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's really nice. I mean, we gone through like, I don't know how many lines of code we had here before, but maybe 1,500 or something like that, down to 350. I mean, it's not about lines of code. It's just nice to see the actual effect that this new system is having here. Now, granted, there are a lot of logic that is sort of moved out and into the monster, like a common place for the functionality that we have. But yeah, that's going to be shared between the monsters as well. So it's really not. It is a nice upgrade here. Okay. Now the question is, do we want to keep on going with this and just replace everything? Because then I can just remove the old system entirely. I think I'll do it. I don't know. Is there anything else that I want to tackle here? Or should we just keep on going with that? I mean, some of the monsters are pretty simple, actually. We can do maybe Ondblomma. This one is basically, it's spawning and then it's just facing the player. It doesn't even have like an aggro state. It just faces the player and shoots a projectile every now and then. That should be fairly simple to do. So we can even go. Let's go. Well, let's just copy this here. State machine. Make this into Ondblomma state machine. All right. We need monster utils. Fix up all these old style imports. All right. Now this is basically gonna be the same. We're not actually this is nice because we don't actually have knockback. So I'm gonna say default damage behavior options is equal to default damage behavior options, and apply knockback on hit is false. This is one of the few ones that doesn't have that. Oops. Where is that? Here. All right. And then, yeah, on spawn, we transition into idle. That's fine. Common behavior. We don't have this. We set the state to dead. Fine. Shorten this a little bit. We have default damage behavior and we pass in the options. We have aggro. We don't have aggro for this. Attack. Yes, we have attack. And we have a lifetime for the states. And then we don't choose random movements. We just Well, actually, when the state, I mean, this kind of depends, I guess, on which state it is. I'm gonna not have this. Let's remove this and do this. All right, I'm gonna remove this default pre-movement. We might keep that actually. Attack if applicable. So if we are attacking, we should not attack. We should have like a, there should be like a cooldown. Can attack at, yeah, so this is kind of like the cooldown here. So we don't have a melee attack. We don't have hunting player. We don't care about the distance to the player either. And we only care about the cooldown. So this would be actually, then we don't really care about this because we could. Yeah, let's just do this. Let's just check. Is timer up? Convenience function there. And then this would be whatever it's called, can attack at. So if we can attack, if it's not up, we return false. Actually, we don't really need to return anything here. We just need to return. Okay. This, we don't care. Yeah, so we're in here. We set the state to attack, basically. Pre-attack, face the player. Now the question is, do we face the player pre-attack or do we always face the player? We don't need to set any state. Well, actually, here we actually can set. We can set can attack at. So we move it forward, and there's some sort of attack cooldown here. All right, and we're facing the player. Sure, why not? Post attack. We don't really have a post attack either, I guess. Yeah. Okay, let's make this. Well, let's like make the ranged attack here. The actual attack. Pre is executing. Execute attack. Post. We don't have a post. We can just delete that. Okay, execute attack. Yeah, we have some sort of animation. I'm gonna look up what that is. We have execute attack here. It's just attack. Okay, so attack, and we actually, you know what? We could have a post. This is one time we could actually have a post where we just set the state to back to idle. Yeah. No, well, actually, we don't really know when to do that though. That is the question. No, it's not gonna magically call that function. We have to set state first. So the thing is then that actually we should yeah, we should check it here. If state, if has state ended, then we set the state to idle. Okay. So we're checking if our time is up, we set the state, we transition to idle. Okay, there's a little bit of nuance you have to know about. But this is basically saying, okay, take the animation. We have a duration now for the state, and so we have some sort of we have a duration state that we set. So we can use this function to check, okay, has this duration exceeded its lifetime, or whatever you want to say. Is the timer up? Okay, then we set this. Then we transition to another state, and we can use the update function for that. Cool. We don't need to worry about this. Well, I guess this could be... No, that's like default pre-attack. I mean, we only have one attack, so maybe it doesn't really make sense to have a default pre-attack. Let's just add these things in here. And then you are... There we go. Alright. So basically, yeah, we're setting we set the timer, we face the player, set the animation, set the state. Now, yeah, we also need to spawn our projectile. And we can copy this, maybe. Well, let's see. What is the difference really here? Let's do projectile, spawn projectile. Actually, also the timing of the spawning is interesting. Like when is that happening actually? Because the attack has some sort of animation. There's like a build up, and then the projectile comes out. I have to look at the old system here. Yeah, this is where we spawn the projectile. If attack type is shoot, and we haven't spawned it yet, and okay. So we have this system here. We basically have a timer that we set. Okay. So, yeah. Which is sort of what we're doing here. Wait, I thought we... No, that should actually not be used anymore. Yeah, this isn't even used. We're doing this instead. We have a add timed function. So we're calling this after some delay. But then we might have to cancel it as well. Well, it's gonna get cancelled if the monster dies. Let's see. Yeah, here. We don't need to worry about the handle. We just fire and forget here. Spawn projectile after whatever projectile delay. We'll move these out here. Okay. Spawn no. spawn for the tile delay. This one we don't use. There we go. Alright, so now we should call this function after the delay there. Let's see. Yeah, so we have to grab some stuff from here now. Damage on touch, shield blocks true, that should be same. Destroy and touch type all is the same. Well, one difference is that, well, this we don't do. We don't apply some weird trajectory thing. We don't have a timed function that does this. And we don't need you, and we don't need you. And you are, I don't really know what you were called. Maybe this. Idle. What? Wait, animation container. Hang on. We get the monster container. Animation key is instance. Well, it's okay, animation key is idle. We're grabbing that. Then we're setting that there. Idle of the monster. I have to double check here. What is that? Where are you? No, that's the... Yeah, here's the projectile. Okay. I'm confused. Maybe we're setting it elsewhere. No. Okay, whatever. It should be projectile, I'm pretty sure. So that should be correct. We have the size is 10, so there we go. There's the, we can actually move this here like projectile size. Oh, where? Okay. Size. No, this is, yeah, projectile size. Now, one thing that is different here is that destroy and touch type player. Should that be the case? I mean, sure, why not? Because before I had it like on all. Maybe, I think I have it on all here. Yeah, type all. So it disappears if it goes into a wall or something like that. But yeah, whatever. Maybe it's more interesting if it doesn't get destroyed. Okay, so anything else? We play a sound as well, which we can do. We can just play the sound, fine. Yeah, spawn projectile. Yeah, then we play the sound. We have the hitbox, the position. Yeah, the position we need to also make sure it's correct. Here's the offset. Let's call it offset. And we don't need to worry about the position of the monster because it's gonna be relative anyway. We rotate. So first of all, we can make, no wait. Yeah, we're rotating the unit X basically here to radians of the direction, which is basically, this is the same thing as saying I have a convenience function here and just init 1 -5 because the direction is, this is like a horizontal direction, so it's either left or right. So you're gonna, it's gonna rotate the X portion to either left or right. So it's gonna point in left or right. It's not gonna have any other degrees or radians or whatever. And then the Y position is just added there. So it's basically flipping based on the X there. So it's sort of flipping the coordinate there around the origin. So this should point in, this should be the same thing because the magnitude of X was still 1. And so this should be the same thing. It feels weird that it's only 1, but maybe that was all what's needed. I'm gonna do this to keep it as reference. Because right is just 1 0. This is, yeah, we're just rotating either to the right or to the left. If it's right, then we don't, it doesn't change anything. If it's left, then this will be you know, -1 0. Well, the result here is -1 0. And then this we add just -5. So this should be the same thing here. Okay. So that's the position. This is all taken care of with our convenience function. No air, no gravity though. The gravity we do need to add. Maybe that is, I don't know if that should be, yeah, no air drag is always added. No gravity though is not always added. It's not in the, okay. Maybe we can add that as an option actually here. No gravity is, I guess we set it to true to no gravity. Yeah, the default is true, and so that means that we don't have to change here, but we do have to change in this where we say no gravity is true. There we go. Okay, a lot simpler now to create a projectile. Yeah. Yeah, and that's it, I think. Oh, we have the impulse vector. Why do we? Oh, because of the speed. Okay, yeah, so we're initializing the speed basically. That could also be a, yeah, that should be like a option as well. The speed. We just put a vector there. This is gonna be multiplied by the mass. Yeah, it's gonna be figured out. So the speed, yeah. We have to have some sort of speed. So we're basically doing this almost. Well, let's see. Maybe we could bake in direction as well. Like speed could be magnitude, and then we have a direction maybe? That's probably easier. Other, because then we basically do this calculation here. Well, this is the same thing here. This is like direction. Apply this. Maybe it's better to send it in as I think what we'll do is we'll say where's that body thing here? Source body. Here's the body here. So here's the body of the projectile. We apply impulse, the speed times the mass. There we go. Yeah. Oops. And then we move. No, we don't need to get this. We need speed. Speed is gonna be, we don't need to account for the mass. Yeah, that should be good. All right, yeah, that's simplified here as well. That was nice. Let's see. Speed is gonna be direction, apply projectile speed, and that's it. All right, nice. Okay. Yeah, we don't have a duration. Okay, so in here we are checking for that. We're checking if we take damage. We attack if we can. We don't have default free movement. Let's just remove this. We are attacking if applicable. We check if we can attack, if the timer is up. If we are, then we set the state to attack. The attack will execute the attack, and then we'll do the update function. Check if we should end the attack state. We set back to idle. Yeah, we also execute the attack. Then we create we push can attack duration up. The cooldown, we set the cooldown there. We face the player, we play the attack animation, we set the duration of the attack, we spawn the projectile after some delay. The projectile will, we calculate the offset, the speed, and we spawn the projectile there, and we play a sound. And after the animation, we go back to idle. When we start idle, we play an animation, and during update, we do just the common favor. So there we go. Cool. All right, it was that complicated. You know, it's always a little bit when you need to move functionality from one place to the other, but I think we can just so what we need to do now is we need to change this here. I'll just remove this. So we'll change you into the new way of doing things. So first we create an entity, then we call init monster. Position is this, options and T. Options, we have hitbox, draw layer, scene entity, animations, it's gonna be max health, yeah, that's it. And get rid of this. We need to add, okay, it doesn't have gravity. That's weird. Why did I add? I mean, I guess it's supposed to be sort of staying still, so I guess it makes sense. Then we also have blomma. Put that up there. Monster AI get, body get is not backable, false, static, true. Okay. So we're setting the body static true. I'm not sure if we actually need that. Okay, we'll find out. But we can basically, all of these functions we can now remove. Nice. So just 111 lines now. Nice. All right. Well, we'll see if it works, but see if it compiles. Probably it doesn't, because there's probably like some code in the Monster AI system that I need to update as well. No. Unused local constant projectile. Oh. That's right. There we go. We got the formatting. That means we have passed some sort of test. Okay, here we go. 62. Cleat has no member named hitbox. That is very correct. I'm just gonna say, this is only temporary anyways, until we've moved everything from this system here. So I'm just gonna say if we have a declaration type of M and this is hitbox, then we use that. Otherwise I will just say something like this. you don't have anything. Let's just add you here. And it should be same there. And then also execute attack. You don't have execute attack anymore. And you don't either. I'm just gonna add else, whatever. Since we're getting rid of this anyway. Monster attack hitbox. Okay. Get rid of you. Are we done already? Alright. Let's try it out. Let's see if the monster actually works. So let's go over somewhere where we have a bunch of those over here. Well, they aren't spawning. Let's see. And this is what's also nice now. It's like, okay, well, we're saying the initial state is this, which is waiting to spawn. That seems to work. Why can't I go there anymore? I used to be able to go to it. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so there's that. That should be the same for all of those monsters. Excuse me. Oh yeah. Sorry. Wait. Interesting that it still took damage. Oh, I guess the attack system still works then. Yeah, the attack system and the death and drop on items on death still is like outside of the state machine. But yeah, we need to add the state machine. And the initial is this. There we go. Oh, it crashed. Unexpected. Wait, there's a compiler error here. Expected vector found content int. Oh, this should be only x. There we go. Right, that's also interesting. It never ran this code. Now it's actually running this code. So that's why we could compile before, and we caught this error now instead when we actually added that component. There we go. Are you gonna attack me? Yes. Oh, but they are kind of spawned a little bit too high. Okay. Why are they so high up in the sky? And if we go and look at the actual scene, they are sort of positioned perfectly here. Although the hitbox, well, this is not really the hitbox, this is more like the animation, like the sprite size or whatever. But that should correspond to where they should end up, I think. But then the hitbox is like, okay, here's the actual hitbox rectangle that you want to use. So we're moving it up 8 or down, maybe. Wait, was that the same issue with the other ones? Honestly, yeah, when we spawn, it's hard to see, but they are actually falling down a little bit. So there seems to be a common thread here where the monsters are spawned slightly above where they should be. I mean, I guess these are actually, they are, well, but then the hitbox determines where they should land. This doesn't really consider that. Okay, what if we just change this to the middle? That won't really work. It's just we define the hitbox like that because it is offset a little bit. I need to figure out what's why is it different all of a sudden. Okay, now they seem to be correctly placed, but the hitbox is a little bit off now. Oh well, whatever. It works. Oh, I still took damage. Yeah, I still take damage after it's dead. That's weird. Hang on. So either I'm thinking either it's like spawning a projectile or damage on touch is still active. That should not be the case. If it's dead, we don't do anything, right? So is it because it spawned a projectile or something? Can it still spawn a projectile after it's dead? Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's what's happening. It's still spawning a projectile. Well, okay, so now we know. We go in here. We're saying attack if applicable. It's kind of weird because we are checking if we're dead here. Oh yes, during the attack, right? So during the attack. Oh, okay. Okay. So we do need to save a handle here. For this, because I was thinking like, okay, well, if the entity is destroyed, then this component will also be destroyed, so this function won't run. However, I mean, we could add a special. We could add options here that remove like remove on death or something like that, because that's probably such a common case where it's probably a good thing to add. Time function options. Actually, this would be starting to get a little bit more complex, the system here, but I think it's still fine. Yeah, we should have like options here. And this is gonna be I don't know, cancel if dead or something like that. Cancel on death. And we just set this to true, so it's always its default. And then in the update, we will say we'll check if we are alive. If options cancel on that and we're not alive, we will do this and continue. Okay. Alright, so now this machinery should have that there. And then where do we go? We go up to the update function. No, the convenience function here, add function. Yeah, the options, and then we add the options here. That's right. There we go. All right, now back to this. And you, I will say, yeah, so, yeah, we just need to add the option there. Now let's check here as well. This one does also not make sense if it's already destroyed to do this. So I will cancel on. No, I will have to add this in anyway. This one will cancel if we're dead. Is that the only? So what I'm thinking also is like if we're not backed. Well, I guess it's still doing the attack. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, but this is basically the same thing. If we're dead, then we cancel the thing. So let's remove that. And now we don't even need to save this handle anymore. There we go. And we'll go up here and we'll tidy this up a little bit. There we go. Okay. Great. Yeah, cool. So, now it should not spawn the thing when it's dead. There we go. Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. Great, so that works. Nice. And the more we do this, the more yeah, the more the pattern actually makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, and it's also condensing the state machine here, and it's also visible all at the same time. So it's a really nice pattern. At least for my needs here. I'm not sure if this would have worked. I mean, you would have to have some more like machinery around it if you want to make it work. I guess like, you know, multiplayer and multi-threaded and all that stuff. I'm not dealing with any of that, so I have a lot of freedom to just implement things as I go, which feels nice. Okay, but anyway, so that is that. What now? Well, what other monster do we have that we can just do? Stening. Okay, battling. Irblos. So this is a bit interesting. This is like a flying monster, so it's a little bit different, but it doesn't really have that complicated state machine. It's just yeah, it's just flying around, and it can actually aggro. Let's copy this, because it does have a sort of like a charge attack. Copy this here. Oops. Okay, go through the same process here. Oops. Actually, I'll clean up the imports. Don't need you. We do need you. We do need you. Don't need you. Don't need you. We do need you. We do need you. And we don't need you. There we go. So it's nice to delete a bunch of stuff there. Oh yeah, crypto. Alright. Irblos. Okay. So, let's rename this. Yeah, this is the same. We do have knockback, so we don't need to worry about that. Spawn, set to idle, fine. Common behavior, set dead, yes. Default damage, should aggro. Attack, and yeah, this probably basically more or less the same thing here, except we have like a fly state now instead of a walk state, so it's a little bit different, but We'll see here what's gonna happen. So this is probably sort of the same thing here, except when we're flying, I think it's choosing like a random direction. I will see. It's not like just a horizontal direction anymore. So the attack is only... Well, I have to familiarize myself here a little bit. So we have should attack. This determines... Yeah, we only have one type of attack, which is the charge attack. And so we will do... We should say should attack is what? If we can, so if the timer is up, the cooldown is up, or down, or up, whatever, and we're in distance. That was simple. So we don't need to check for aggro. No, we don't need to check for aggro, and we need to check is distance less than, and then it's gonna be attack trigger distance, and if timer is, oops, wait, is timer up, can attack at, there we go. Let's remove this, and we just have should attack if we should not, if we not should attack, we return. And we set the state to attack. Don't need to return a goal, I don't think. Well, maybe actually, if we're attacking, we don't wanna do this, I guess. Yeah, sure. We don't need to check this anymore because we have the can attack at timer. And then we set the state to attack. That should be fine. And then we return true as well. Alright. Now I'm just gonna get rid of these because we only have one attack. And yeah, it's gonna be this type of attack maybe. So we'll add this. You. We don't have a spawn thing. We don't care about this. We don't have a jump. We do have idle and fly. So I'll rename you to fly. And should aggro. We do have aggro, I think. Yeah, we can aggro is true, so we have an aggro state thing here. So should aggro, maybe this could be like aggro, the aggro thing is so common that maybe we should have like a default aggro thing. I don't know. Like aggro state is like in a component, is that whatever, maybe not. Okay, so is something player is, because the thing is then we can sort of mix sort of these default behaviors, like having state be something that you don't have all state here. If there's common enough stuff, we could extract that from here into a common component. But okay, anyway, so is something player is true. We also changed the speed. Well, we'll see. Is hunting player. Okay. Should aggro, yes. Distance less than aggro distance. So we'll move these things up again. Can aggro. Aggro distance. Let's just copy this. It's the same. All right. Attack trigger distance. Yeah, that was the same thing. So now we can remove this. Set idle. So this is basically what's gonna happen if the monster needs to update its state to something else. I guess this is like idle, so it's not even flying. I thought we had like a flying state. Yeah, here's the flying state. Handle, hunt player. Okay. So we're flying towards the player if we're hunting. Okay. So this is sort of like the aggro state in that case. So we're flying again. So this is the direction here. So now we have a direction that is not only left or right. It's a direction that is towards the player. Yeah, so basically this is sort of, the idling around is sort of moving around as well. This is now hunting the player actually. So it's actually not really flying, you know. It's more like it's hunting. So we calculate the direction to the player. I'm just gonna do a convenience for this in monster utils. Get direction to player. It's so nice when you have this nice sort of pattern as well to actually incorporate these things, because now it's like, it's really nice because in this context you have everything you need, including the monster entity. So you don't. So there's a lot of things that you can just pass along there. You don't need to anything else than the context here to get the direction to the player. I just really think that's really nice. And as I said previous stream, like that's sort of like a monad in. Like it's just having a context with the functions calls here. Okay, so then angle 2. Yeah, we need a monster body. Let's call it body, just so we get that center of that, and then we need a player body, which is gonna be get player, and then no, this is the player, and then this is gonna be this. Alright, there we go. Context register. go. Okay, now we can get the direction to the player. Now, one downside of this actually that I've noticed is like, yeah, we can pass the context. The problem is that if you have a function that calls a bunch of these helper functions and you're only passing context, well, then it's gonna grab out all of these things in separate sort of stack frames, right? Now, what I've been experimenting with is trying to have a dynamic stack frame that you can sort of build up depending on which functions you're calling. And then it's gonna know, okay, we have this, so it's gonna be like I don't really know exactly how it would work, but it would be something like requesting this type or requesting this thing, and if it exists, then we grab it from the struct that we have, like a pointer to something, to a struct, or we will run the fetch function for that. Yeah, something like that anyway. But I don't want it to be super complicated or anything. I wanted to it's sort of like, it's probably super unnecessary optimization, but it's just like it feels really nice to have all these helper functions, but there is a trade-off. So there is this trade-off where each of these functions have their own stack frame and they have to grab all these things. But it is kind of like this context here, or this registry kind of is what I was saying, like you grab out the thing there. This is the actual pointer to this thing, which is going to be the same pointer that some other function is going to call and as well. So it's not really that big of a deal, but it's like we don't have to do this lookup, which is probably like an ON, or I mean not ON, O of 1 lookup anyway, but yeah, it is because I think it is because it's like an index you have into an array. So it's not really that big of a deal actually. But it would be cool to have some sort of comp time dynamic stack frame that sort of builds up, okay, we need to have these things in the stack frame in order for these functions to be called together, that they will have their needs met, so to speak. Okay, but anyway. Yes, that should be the same thing there. Now what? Okay, yeah, so we have the direction to the player. Where do we store that actually? I mean, yeah, this is kind of, yeah, so at the point of we're initiating this sort of flying motion, we're flying towards the player. Now the direction, you can see here also, like after 0.2 seconds we're gonna do this again. So it's not like following the player each frame, it's more like flying 0.2 seconds in one direction that is roughly in the player direction, then it's changing after 0.2 seconds. It's not changing its direction after, like within 0.2 seconds. After 0.2 seconds it would change its direction again and fly towards the player. That's how this works. But we could also just change the direction every frame as well. But let's just keep it like this for now. Direction to player. Well, okay. So how would we initiate this flying thing? I think we need to go to the old system to check how this is done. So we have an end check, then we do something else. Here we have the basic, like here's basically the update functions. Let's copy this, go in here. Well, that's not the up. Is this the update function? yeah, this is the update function. So what are we doing actually? We're calculating some sort of speed and the move force, and we're applying that force based on the direction that we have. So that is happening every frame. Interesting. Well, okay. So this is actually happening in the update. And the direction we can store in here. Fly direction. Okay. The speed, we don't care about. I mean, yeah, we just have something called fly speed in the end. And then we have a move force, we rotate by scalar. Okay, this is the same thing as saying only X here. Okay. Speed times the mass. Fly direction. No, this is, yeah, this is context get unit loss fly direction. And then the direction is from radians. And we're moving that. Okay. I'm thinking of, yeah, I'm gonna put this in, similar like we have default walk. I'm gonna have default fly. So I'll move this into default fly. And we'll add whatever we need there. So we need speed. We need direction. This, okay, direction, let's do fly direction, because we usually say direction like this. Okay, so that's that. Then we set this to that. Do we have like set? All right, and then we need a body apply force. So we're gonna get the body and apply force. Let's call this fly force, maybe. Give a little flavor here to the things. All right. Okay, let's just get the body context. Okay. Yep, simple enough. Let's change this to default fly. We have some sort of fly speed. This could change also, maybe depending on if we're hunting or not, maybe. So we have speed, and then we also have direction, which is gonna be this. don't think we need this. Yeah, I'm gonna do this for now. We don't have an attack type. Okay. Yeah, the attack we need to figure out here. Execute attack. And we don't need to create this. We don't need to create an attack. We don't have high or low. Do we even have animation for attacking? I don't think so. We're not changing anything here. No. So we don't really have an animation to set, so we don't really... Yeah, we don't set animation, basically. We just set the duration of the attack here. Pre-attack. No. Let's just remove this for now. Okay. Hunt player. Let's actually let's change this to aggro or hunt player. This is the hunting player state. I don't think we need to change animation ever with this one. Let me double check what the animations are actually for this thing. Okay, we have spawn. Yeah, so idle is the only thing. So we don't actually change the animation at all. So we can just remove all these. All right. Okay, here we can do set end state ends at I should really change this to be like it automatically adds T here, but whatever, I'm not gonna do that right now. But let's end at this. And yeah, let's fly. We need to store, yeah, we need to store the fly direction. Which is gonna be get direction to player. Now this is what's so nice about this. This really feels like you're working in a monad, because it's sort of like having, you know, the only piece of information you're interested in here is this function, and then everything else is sort of like baked into the underlying you know, context. So it's very, very nice to be able to work like this. I really like this pattern here. Okay. And then we have our default fly pre-movement. Alright, let's just fix this up a little bit so we can. So idle is also, we need to figure out. There we go. Let's see. What are we doing here? We have a direction which is just random, any random direction at all. Let's add that function here. Random direction. No. There we go. Okay, we get a random direction. Let's just copy this. That is what's happening in pre-idle here. We get a random direction. We get this. We set this to that. Okay, fine. This would be like move direction or fly direction. We can change just the context now. Monster body. Fly speed times 10. Right, because this only happens like one time, but then that should be like an impulse. Okay, whatever, let's keep it like this. Fly speed we should already have. This is, again, this is just only X there. Fly direction we have. We can actually store the fly direction as well if we want to. Why not? And then we just apply that force to set the state and that. Okay, so we'll do no context set state. No. Set state ends at t+2. I guess we could have a separate one called like set state duration. And this will be context t plus duration. So, because it's annoying to have to set that all the time. Set state duration to 2. And we should also move this out into like idle fly duration, something like that. Okay. Yeah, so we set the direction, we change our direction to whatever. We apply a force, and then we set the duration of this thing. And then we have to check if we need to update the thing. Now we're checking it here, and I guess what we could do is we could say if is hunting player, we want to go to hunt player, else we go to idle. And yeah, here is weird because we don't really have an animation that ends. So the duration of the attack is probably defined here somewhere. Executing attack, and that charge attack duration. So that's what that is. So this is just going to be set state duration to charge attack duration. Yeah, and we have to do some flying here as well, I guess. Yeah, we're doing all this crap. Let's just move this to here. Alright, we don't care about this. We add no air drag. Right. Okay, let's add this convenience function to context. We have get, try, get. Let's also have add. No, this is like some sort of value. And then registry add to this value. And I guess we could also have remove. But then this is a type instead. And these are reversed. And this is T. Alright. So now we can say context add, and we don't have to specify the monster. Okay, so the direction is set to based on the player. So this is basically just facing the player, which we have a convenience for. Face the player. There we go. Then we're calculating the direction to the player. And we're using that over here. So we can just, again, this one's on X. I'll just do this. This could also be a very convenient thing, like a flying. This is such common now. Let's see. We could have default fly. We can have apply. No, this is set velocity. It's a bit different. Okay. So let's get the body, set the velocity to force. We add the drag. Okay. All right. That's basically what we're doing here. The duration is to attack charge duration. We're facing the player. We're calculating some force based on charge attack speed and direction to player. We set our velocity to this force, bypassing any whatever physics. And we also add no air drag. Now we also should then add a post here that cleans that up as well. So we need to say remove no air drag as well. All right, well that fit nicely there. Cool. What else are we missing here? It feels like this panel should definitely be maybe moved to something. I don't know. But then once we get the vector, we might apply force, or here we set velocity. So it's a little bit different. Okay, so let's go through here. So what we have is we have an idle state. So the common, so this initial here is the same, spawn is the same. Common behavior is pretty straightforward as well as the same. We're checking if we're dead. We have default damage behavior. We have an aggro functionality. This should all be pretty much implemented. Yeah. We execute aggro. We just set this to true. So that's very simple. We have attack if applicable. And we should attack if we're within distance and if we can attack. And maybe we should move this. Okay, whatever. It's a little bit more optimized. Because this is way easier to check than this. Okay, and then I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Whatever. If should attack, not should attack, return false. Yes, so then we don't attack. Otherwise, we set the state to attack. Attack. In turn, we execute the attack, which means we charge the player. Yes. Then during the update we do common behavior. Now we don't want to go and do other stuff. But whatever is going to happen here is either we're dead, we're applying knockback and stuff here like damage and stuff. Aggro shouldn't really make any difference. Attacking could happen, but there's a cooldown. Now we do check if state has ended here, so that is good. And then we're checking, okay, are we aggroing, are we hunting? Then we continue to hunt, otherwise we continue to idle. So this should work here, like just attacking, we're setting up the attack and then we're not really doing anything else like away from the ordinary. Post, we remove the air drag, that's right, because we're adding it here. Okay, and then we have the idle. So before each idle we add some fly force, so it's kind of floating around, and after some duration we do it again, and then we also just have the normal update there. We don't really need to add anything else here. Here's the aggro state, so we're hunting the player more here. The only thing here is like the this default tree movement. We don't really need to have this, so let's just remove that. There we go. And here we can set the duration instead now. There we go. And we update the fly direction. And during update, we do a default fly, which continuously pushes in some direction there. And then we also have our common behavior as well. Okay. And then these functions here. All right. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so next step is to change these things. We need to create the entity like this. And then we need to call master utils init master instead. And we have the entity, position, and options. Okay, hitbox. Draw layer, max health, yeah, everything else should be the same. Okay. Cancel attack if hit. Now, okay, this is interesting. We need to also handle these things. Stunned if hit as well is interesting as well. Oh yeah, so we do have a bit more state machine stuff that we need to do. We don't forget to add state machine, the actual state machine. Show. There we go. Alright, so let's comment this out. We're setting static to true. I mean, sure, why not? And we're adding flying and no gravity. Sounds about right. Okay. Do you return anything now? Let's remove you. Oh yeah, we do need to add that as well. No, just yield loss. Set idle. Yeah, this one we pretty much did. Execute attack, I think we also pretty much implemented. Let's remove this. End attack, we do this. Yeah, that's also done. and then hunting the player is also done. Okay, so there's a couple of things here. There's the stunned if hit and cancel attack if hit. Now those are implemented in another place, so yeah, we have to also implement that. But it's pretty simple, I guess. We need a stunned state, and we need like a stun duration. Okay, there we go. Stunned if hit. Yeah, default stun duration is 1. Okay, good. So basically we just add a stun state. We have a pre function where we set the duration to the stun duration, and we have an update function where we do have common behavior. However, now we can't really attack if we're stunned. These things should still be done. Maybe we don't call common behavior. Maybe we only do these things, actually. So yeah, we're doing sort of the bare minimum at this point. You could also check, okay, is the state stun.update? We could make that comparison and then abort the common behavior. I think it's like 2 different ways to think about this, but yeah, I don't know. The risk of this is now this is sort of copied, and if we change in one place and forgot to change here, it's not gonna be easily noticed, and it's probably gonna be a bug. So that is the downside to doing this. I mean, what you could do is just move these things into a separate common death and damaged behavior. Which does these things, and then we just call this. And well, I guess this also returns a bool. In that case, because we need to check if we actually died. So if we died, then we return. Alright, and now we can go back and use that here. Common death. So it's still pretty easy to just grab this out. Okay. And anything else? Not sure. Let's check if this does anything else. So we're setting the state. That's basically what's happening here. But we could also check if there's another handler for the stun state. So here is, no, this is the update only, and this is this. Now let's check pending state. Alright, and here we can also see cancel attack if hit. So if we're attacking, before we checked like this, if we're attacking and if we are also stunned at hit, we set us to stun instead and cancel the attack. There doesn't seem to be any like generic handler for stun, so We don't like add any components or anything like that. So the stun state is basically, yeah, just enter this state and wait until it's done. And if state has ended, then we go to another state. So then we go to, well, then we do, actually we want to do this part now. We want to do this part. So we have to, we'll move this into choose, well, what would this be like? I don't know, choose fly state. But it's basically like we're flying, but either we're aggroing, so we're hunting the player, or we're just idle. Okay, but since we're not calling this anymore, we have to call it like this. We can go back to that. And I'm fine with this being copied, because it's sort of specific to stun as well. We go to this normal state again. All right. And I mean, we could even just set state to idle straight up. It doesn't really matter that much. Okay, so now we have this stunned state, and how do we enter it then? Well, we have in our common behavior, even here, common death and damage behavior, we have a damage behavior. We can set the state to stunned if we're damaged. So if this is true, we can set the state to stunned. And that will apply knockback, and it will also cancel any attack that's going on. Yeah. But what if we go in here, then we go in here, we can attack, but we're stunned. No, if we're stunned, we shouldn't go in here. However, during the execution of this function, we're now transitioning into the stun state. Let's return true here as well, because it kind of indicates that we should cancel the rest of the yeah, it's getting a little bit complicated, I guess, but if we're stunned, we cancel the rest of the normal behavior. If we're dead, we also cancel the rest of the normal behavior. So it's kind of indicating that this could really be, this could be, you know, you could do this. You could say, you could have an enum where it's like, I don't know, common event, no event, cancel behavior. I don't know. You could have something like this, and then here's like cancel behavior, and here's like no event. So it's a little bit more descriptive of what's going on. I mean, you can also add a descriptive comment as well. All right, so let's see. Now we can check. Well, what we get here is well, actually, now we need to sort of switch And if we have cancel behavior, then we return. If we have no event, we don't do anything. Whoops. No. There we go. Okay. Just to make it maybe a little bit more clear. Let's also go over here. So this should maybe also, yeah, we should have the same thing here actually. Because if we're dead, we don't really want to do this. And yeah. All right. Now what's going on here? T is not used. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, these things now. It feels like this is implemented now. Let's remove that. T is not used. You say? Oh, right. That's how you do it. Okay, let's just remove T then. But that changes the signature. No, T. No, T is. No, it's okay. It's not necessary, right? Wait, no, it is necessary. It is necessary. I just remembered. It's supposed to be the last thing here. T. There we go. There we go. Okay. Cool. So that was that. Let's go. I don't think this one is used. And S. No. There we go. C. Yes. Okay. Right, so let's find out where we have compiler errors. Monster 202. No feedback. Oh yeah, so we'll just remove you. Yeah, I'm just gonna add an else here. Actually, we can just remove this whole thing. Okay. Wow, is it really done? Okay, cool. Let's try this monster out now. Let's go to somewhere. This is where we have one right at the start. Oops. Okay, yeah. Oh, nice, a crash. Wait, error parsing, missing field. Is that where the error is? Or is that just an error of something else? Okay. That's also interesting. I need to look at this as well. But okay. I should actually, let me add this here. Missing field when reading JSON in, what's the name of this scene? Forest Hill entrance. Okay. Okay, what is your problem here? Swap remove. Oh, this is entity. Okay. Right, remove. So it, okay. So apparently it that doesn't. Remove asserts that, you know, the component actually exists. So somehow it was never added, or it didn't, or it was triggered multiple times, which is an indication that something is not correct. Obviously. Where is that? No add drag. Right, so we add it at pre-attack and we remove it post-attack. That's the only places we do this. Now, if we are attacking and we set the state, for example, to stunned, because we're stunned, because we took damage, so we set our thing to stunned, then at that point, this function is going to be called and remove and no air drag. And at that point, there was no issues. Oh, okay, I understand now. Okay. I think it has to do with this, the state ended thing. So, also, if we, okay, well, there's two things I'm thinking about. So, right, so the way things can happen here is that we set the state to stunned. Okay, at this point we run the post function of the attack that removes the no air drag. However, now we set the state to a new state, but the duration is still there, except maybe it's not actually, because the stun state should set the duration actually. Yeah, we're overriding the duration here. Okay, so we are setting the duration here, so that's not the issue. I think, yeah, there could be an issue. If you don't set the duration during pre, then you get whatever duration was there from before. So it's almost like if we set the state, we should also sort of clear the duration almost from the thing that was before, I think, automatically. But that might be, okay, I'll just do this. I'll go into set state and I will say to do, should we remove the state duration automatically here? So that is one thing. Another thing is that I now forgot, but there was one other thing which I think is the real issue here. And what the hell was that? It's like when we attack again, that's when the issue was. Because when we actually get stunned, that's not the issue. It's when the attack is initiated again. Man, what was my thread of thought? I'm trying to get back. We execute the attack. And we add the yes. Oh yeah. So when we set the state, now the state machine has two functions. We have the state function, which is the function, this is the update function, but we also need to store the post function to know which function we need to call whenever we change the state the next time. So it's like we change the state. If there is a post function, we call it. If we have a new function, post function, we also populate this with the new function. However, now the problem is, if we don't clear this after that, if we don't clear it, if we set the state to a new state, but we don't clear the post, if we don't have a post, let's say in the new state that we set, then we should clear it. So because otherwise it's going to keep the same post function and we're going to call it again at the end of next state. So that could be the reason why we get some weird behavior sometimes. And yeah, that's really good that I caught this here, because that could have messed things up. Okay, and it was pretty hard to find as well. So I'm gonna do, where do we call this post thing? It's in set state, right? So here we call post. At this point we should just remove post, because we only populate it over here. Otherwise, if we don't execute this code, then post is going to keep its old value, which is like an outdated state thing. So after this, we should just set this to null. I mean, we could do this. Yeah. Yep, that makes sense. This should fix it, hopefully. Okay, it compiles at least. Okay, I'm gonna move my starting position over here. Okay, here you can see the idle behavior as well. It seems to work as it did before. You know, we could also tweak it a little bit. And here's the hunting behavior. Not sure if it's doing like a charge attack. Okay, there we go. That's the charge, I think. All right, cool. So that works. All right. So great. That works. Okay. What now? Yeah. So Irblos is done. We're moving fast here. Maybe we should just do all the monsters. Like, how many do we have left? So we've done this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So we have Stening, Berling, and the Berling Spawner. Those are the only 3 left. And I think Berling is gonna be the most complicated one, probably. But then again, it might not be that complicated, actually. Should I just try doing it from scratch? Sure. That would be a good exercise into actually how easy this is. Okay. So we need monster utils. Oh. Enum to struct from tag. We have a bunch of weird stuff going on here. Yeah, I think it's because we have like variants, and the variants are slightly different. They have like different animations and stuff like that. So first off, we move all of these, including you as well, and probably you as well. Okay, actually, let's not move variant data stuff. Let's just move everything else. All right. No. Borrow duration. Okay. Okay. Let's do battling state machine. So first we have initial. It's gonna be default. Spawning state machine and on spawn, and this is the initial state. There we go. Then we have we have a on spawn function, and here we set the state. So this is the initial state we want to have when we spawn out. And so I'm just gonna pick this idle state here. And so now we can construct this idle state. And we have a pre function and an update function. And yes, and so here we set duration to idle duration, and update we have some common behavior that we need to also behavior. Yeah, I'm cheating a little bit here. So we have if we're dead, default damage behavior, if we should aggro, if we should attack, and if we have ended state. I think we should just set to idle by default. Maybe. Well, it kind of depends. I have to sort of look at how this monster functioned from before I can because we have like a root, we have uproot, we have an attack, we have walk and idle. So we do have a bunch of different states. Let's add a walk state. And this would be duration. Do we have like walk duration or anything like that? Walk speed, idle. Maybe it's just idle duration. I'm gonna guess. Set idle, yeah. So it's the same as idle. And then walking, basically we can just use the default walk, and speed is like get walk speed, I guess. We can have options, turn around. No, this is false. Alright. Get walk speed is, yeah, we can make a function, get walk speed. And we can say, let's just have a thing in the thing itself. So let's just, yeah, let's just add state for that. Fine. All right. Let's see, where is the can aggro is true, so we should have the add the aggro stuff. Now this is actually kind of nice, because if we already have it implemented, we could just do this and then execute aggro. Also is hunting player. Again, same state being copied there. Oh yeah, we need a dead state as well. There we go. Execute this. Let's see. I need to keep an eye on my phone here, because there's a person coming here to fix the dishwasher. One second. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably quit here soon. I just yeah, let's just do this monster, and then I need to go here. I might come back later, we'll see. Probably not, but we'll see. Let's see, yeah, we need an aggro distance that is always this sort of the same here. Let's put it over here. And attack if applicable. So yeah, we need an attack functionality as well. So let's add this somewhere up here. Right, so attack if applicable. So we want to add a new timer, like can attack at, and there should be like a cooldown, like attack cooldown. Melee attack distance threshold. Okay, maybe there's no cooldown. No, okay, yeah. I think what happened was that at the end of an attack, it actually does an automatic root action. Or burrow. Yeah, this is like a end attack hook. On end attack, we do a... Well, if the end is burrow... No, wait. If we're ending the burrow, we do some stuff. We do uproot state. Attack ends. Okay, the attack is just the duration of the animation. Okay. What is the animation? Oh, that's the variant. I see. Okay, now the variant here is a little bit weird, maybe. Is this populated after? Like, what is happening here? This is... Why is the variant data like this? Okay. I went crazy here, I guess, with the things. Now I would probably put this here. I would probably put like get data or something. I don't know. And then you switch on self. And then we do all this. Except these need to be that now. And we return this. Because now we can call it on variant itself. And we don't need to rely on this thing. And we don't need this. And we don't need this at all. Well, actually, we can just say variant dot get data instead. And we don't need you anymore. Get variant. We don't need you. There we go. So this is like variant get data instead. Okay. Right. animation. Right there it says 3. Here we depend on what? No, this is like the uproot. Wait, we're setting, yeah, this is the uproot animation, not burrow duration. We're ending burrow. Yeah, because we're setting an animation here, so when we're getting the duration here, this should already be set to the uproot. So this is actually the this should be like the uproot duration, I think. Okay. Right, so we have an attack hitbox thing. We don't really care about attack type, so we'll have one melee attack, which is nice. So that is good. So let's add an attack. And yeah, we should have common behavior. So pre will do some sort of attack. Execute attack. Yeah, attack cooldown. We will set you to something. I think what we do is set duration. And we need to get the duration somehow. So we do set animation to that. Why is this not return? Like, okay, whatever. Okay, set animation. So this would be get variant dot attack animation, and then we have options. Loop is false. There we go. And now we can set the duration. Well, we'll set duration to end of animation. And then we also, I mean, I guess we don't really need to do that. Well, I guess, yeah, we need to do that actually. And then we create a timer, which is gonna be, well, let's just get attack duration here. This get animation duration. Okay, that's our duration, and then we set state duration to attack duration, and we also create a timer there. Okay. So we set animation, we set duration to attack duration, we set the cooldown, and then we face the player. The thing with the cooldown, we probably don't really need a cooldown actually. So I think we could probably remove that, but let's not worry about that for now. So we're executing the attack. We're doing the common behavior. I think also like when this is done, if state has ended, let's remove that from there, and we will handle it here instead. So has state ended, then we will set the state, then we will burrow. So after the attack we burrow. I think that is how it goes. Yeah, so should attack. If we're hunting, if we can burrow, we do burrow. If we are within melee distance, we do a melee attack. Right, so these are kind of like reactive state changes here. Which is, I see more, the pattern is more like that instead of should attack. Is like, it's not generic enough. It's more like, okay, the pattern that I see is that this is just a state change, except it's reactive based on parameters instead of based on a timer runs out or based on a sequence or whatever. It's like it can happen, it can abort another sequence or another other states, well, based on what you can do. But yeah, so for the melee attack we just need to do this. So let's start there. Okay, attack if applicable. So if is distance less than that, if it's not, then we return false. Okay, otherwise we set the state to attack and we return true. Alright. Simple enough. Another thing that we want to check as well is the... So we have aggro, we have attack, but then we also need the burrow thing. So we actually need burrow if able. So this is basically the same kind of thing. So either we're gonna burrow or we're gonna attack. And we set state to burrow. Now we need to check what is the conditions for burrowing. We go to should attack. This is the conditions. So if we are hunting the player and if can burrow at is done, and if the distance is less than or equal to max burrow distance. So if is distance to player less than max burrow distance. if this is true, then we do that. Let's do this. If we shouldn't burrow, we return false. Otherwise, we do this and return true. All right. Okay. Right. So we also need. Let's move you like down here or something. Now we need a burrow state as well. It's probably going to be some sort of kind of like attacking. Burrow state. We execute the burrow. Now we don't have to separate. We don't have to have like a separate function for this, but it's just like I had this convention now, so I'm sticking with it. We execute the burrow, update with the combo behavior. Actually, we don't really do combo behavior actually now, because if we're buried or burrowed, we cannot really take damage. Although that is sort of... Now this could... I guess it's still good to check combo behavior, perhaps. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we execute the burrow. This is the burrow animation. Why am I not getting this burrow anim? Wait. Oh, root animation. Sorry. Mixing it up here. We have the duration. Okay, so the duration is a bit more tricky maybe. Let's see. How do I do this? Right, so no, here's the burrow. Wait, hang on. Should attack. Right, what are we doing here? We are setting a cooldown, which is this. Okay, let's do that. Where are we? Here. And that should be happening in here. So can burrow at burrow cooldown something. Check cooldown. Wait, check cooldown. Oh, because there's like a random chance. Oh yeah. There's like a random chance that we actually do the burrow. That's right. So actually, this is before. This is where we do this check here. So I'm gonna say this is gonna be called can burrow. And then we're gonna do a burrow chance thing. If we did it, we do the actual thing. So should, okay, we'll do this. If we cannot burrow, we return false. If we should burrow, it says if this is less than the burrow chance. If that is true, we go here. So if we didn't do this, we want to get this and set can burrow at to be create timer burrow check cooldown. So we're basically pushing this further with the burrow check cooldown, which is lower. So basically it's checking every second, okay, should we burrow, and there's a random chance that we should burrow. And if at the point of here where if we should burrow, then we should actually set the state to burrow, which will do these things. So I'll move this into the burrow attack thing here. So we will set the cooldown, not to burrow check, but burrow use cooldown now. That was what I was confused, like why are we using the check cooldown? And then we have the duration, which we should already have. Root. Wait, so why? So are these different? We have like the main root. I guess it's the same maybe. The root animation, which one is that? Why does it need to compile now? I never changed anything in the editor code. It's like randomly sometimes it feels like it needs to compile. Animations. Are we in animations? Yes. And then what is the root animation? Oh, it's this one. Okay. Well, what makes sense here? The duration here should be like the actual root animation that they have themselves, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so never mind this. And basically, yeah, we're saving like a timestamp here for burrowing. I'm not sure if we need that. We need to maybe store like another timestamp where we say, well, this is burrowed at. This doesn't make sense. Root duration. Maybe there was some calculation here that I didn't think about. Should attack. Burrowed at. Okay. It's like it's saying that we burrowed in the future. And then when we execute, we do this. Do we even use burrow at here? Oh, here it is. It's the other way around. After the burrow, we automatically do an attack. That's right, because we're sort of hunting the player. We're coming up at the player position and we're doing an attack. Okay. Oh, we also disable dot here, okay. Or damage on touch. And there's the root animation. So we're playing that. And then attack duration is the root animation plus the burrow duration. Burrow attack duration? Which is just burrow. So we're setting it to burrow again? Like, I forgot how this was implemented. Okay. So this does not do a normal attack, it just does a burrow again. What? Okay, I'll try to replicate this. But I'm a bit confused. And then we have end of burrow. Oh wait, okay, yeah. No, I'm not confused anymore. Execute attack doesn't mean that we have the attack. It means that we should go into this attack type state. So we should set the state with this attack type. Yeah. That's correct. So this basically calculates what we need to know in order to make the attack. Right. So we set the animation to root. Right, because we're burrowing. It's not really an attack per se. We create some particles, root things there. We calculate some sort of duration. So this is the entire duration, I guess. And we're calculating the root animation in there. We're setting this to burrow, right? And when we end the burrow attack, we do some stuff as well here. Okay. And we calculate a bunch of stuff here. Okay. Right, so I have that more grasp of that now. Let's see. So we execute the burrow. Where's the thing here? So if we're able to burrow, this should be fine, everything here. And then we change state to burrow. We execute the burrow attack. We set to root. We get the duration. See, what I was confused about was this attack. Should attack here. Where is that? Here. Right, should attack. But that, and then we store some timestamp here. When we burrow, when we made the burrow. This is like the burrow attack type. Then when we execute it, we don't really use that state. We don't. So, are we using it here? Has burrowed. Here we go. So we're saying, oh, so we're adding invincible after we burn. Okay. So basically this will be a timed variation. I could do this with timed now. So, and the duration for that is what? It's the root. It's the duration of this animation. Yeah, it's just the duration of that animation. Okay. Alright, let's actually, alright, so let's do that. So we will take that. And we will get that duration. what's gonna happen then is we're gonna add a timed function that is gonna be add invincible. Delay is gonna be root duration, and then we have options which we don't need, right? Okay. And we don't need to worry about the handle in this, whoops, in this case. Okay, so then we need add invincible. And so we just add invincible. Actually, that should be like null, right? Yeah. Okay. Right. So that should take care of that whole machinery there. That's way easier to do it like this. Okay. I mean, it's just a symptom of the way I did it before was just growing out of this really convenient way of doing it then, but as you added more and more stuff, then it was becoming a bit unwieldy. Alright, but that should capture that. Now when we need to remove invincible at some point, but let's see. We don't really need to face the player at this point. Can burrow at is correctly set there. Yes, duration, no. So the duration here should be burrow use. No, wait, no. Duration should be fine. Okay, let's go back to. This is pretty interesting to sort of decipher what is going on here in the old system. And it's going to be a lot easier to see in the new system what's going on. Because everything is in one place. Well, sort of, anyway. But we are using more like helper function stuff. It's more condensed and easier to look at. This is just spread out over a lot of different things. Okay, this should all be done now. Execute attack. So we set the animation. Well, no, that's the attack. Here's the burrow. Set the animation to root. Yes, this we still need to do. Let's see what else we need to do. We need to do the dot thing. Let's copy this. And we set the state. That's it. So we disable that. Okay. We don't need to do this. Loop is false. Yes, that's correct. Set animation, create animation for spawning. There we go. All right. I think we're pretty much completed this function, I think. All right. Set state duration. Setting these things, getting this duration here. Let's move you up there. And we're adding a times function. Let's do that at the end. Okay. Right. after we burrow, we should... No, we should just set this to idle, I think. Maybe. Where's the set idle? Yeah, it's random idle walk, except if we're hunting, then shouldn't it be different? Okay, I'm pretty much done this. Let's just remove all this so we can get rid of some of this stuff anyway. Now this whole thing, this happens when the burrow is done. So let's actually copy this and put this in a post function for burrow. Oh, 1 second here, I'm getting a call. Okay, so the dishwasher guy is here now. Yeah, I think I'll have to leave now. So yeah, we'll continue this another time. Thank you very much for joining me, anyone who watched here, and hope you have a nice day. And I'll see you later. Bye bye.